So in addition to your notes, you do need your identity sheet out because we have to add something to our identity sheet. And I'm actually gonna, let's see if it's already on my identity sheet. No, I have not put on my identity sheet yet. I'm just gonna put it on my notes, that way I have access to seeing it, but I want you guys to put this on your identity sheet. We are gonna do log sine and log cosine, and then area of a triangle. Not all of that today, but in the next couple lessons, that's the last thing that's gonna go on your unit, on your identity sheet. And today it's gonna be law of sines. Make this a little bit bigger. Law of sines. Sines is the trig function. Yeah.
I was looking at my notes and there's like a whole section we didn't do on like 5.4 of this thing.
I bet we've done problems like it, and I believe that it's all like the stuff above it. Yeah, if you want me to make a video, I will, but I don't think that that's necessary. We've done lots of problems like that. Law of sines is how you figure out sides and angles in a triangle. It's not a right triangle. So the law of sines goes like this. Sine of big A over little a is equal to sine of big B over little b is equal to sine of big C over little c. What those letters are referring to is the side across from the angle. So sine of the angle over the side opposite it is equal to the sine of another angle at its side opposite it. I write all three up there, but you really only need two of them at a time. So like I might do these two together. So I'll do sine of big A over little a equals sine of big B over little b to solve. You could also do these two together. You could also do the front and the back one. It doesn't really matter. I'm just showing you that all three of them are equal. They're just proportions that all work out. Okay. In order to solve, you need to have three of the four things, and you have to be looking for the fourth thing. In all of these three examples I give you, I'm giving you two angles and then one side. We are not going to do any special cases today. We'll talk about special cases after the test, but I want to kind of give you some easy softballs today. Okay, so first thing is I labeled this triangle CHS. So the side across from big C is going to be called little c. The side across from big H is going to be little h. And the side across from big S is going to be little s. You don't need to write all those arrows in your picture, but at the end of the day, you need to know which sides go with which and which angles go with which. Okay. Now, before I do anything with my sine and all that fun stuff, I'm going to actually figure out what angle H is. Does anyone have any idea on how I'm going to find angle H? Yeah, one maybe not just minus 45, but also minus 60. So basically angle C plus angle H, which we don't know, plus angle S is equal to 180. And so we add up the two angles given to us, and then we're going to minus that from 180. So X should equal 75. You don't need to write a nice equation like that. I'm just proving to you. That's something like my geometry kids can do. So if you don't remember that, that's just basic geometry. That's basic knowledge we all should know. The reason I did that is now I have the possibility to do a bunch of different things. Okay. We are going to do law of sines now, and I'm going to start with the set that I have both things. So I'm going to say sine of 45 over 3.7 is equal to, and now I actually could find little c or little h. It doesn't really matter to me, just commit to one or the other. So let's find little c first. I'll do now 60, sine of 60 over little c. See how 60 and c went together, and how 45 and 3.7 went together, because those are the opposite ones. Now you just have two proportion, and we're just going to cross multiply in order to solve. I'm going to fight you to not put anything in the calculator yet. So when I cross multiply, I get C times sine of 45 equals 3.7 times sine of 60. And then I'm gonna divide by sine of 45 from both sides. And then I'm gonna just plug that into the calculator. 3.7 sine 60 divided by sine 45. And that number should pop out as my answer. Ooh, I did not mean to do that, sorry. $3.7 sine 60 divided by sine 45. Just make sure you're in degrees. Okay, I am, and so I get 4.5. So little c is 4.5. Anybody have any questions on the equations I set up or how I solved it? Okay, I'm gonna do the exact same thing now to find little h. I'm gonna continue to use 45 and 3.7 because those were given to me. God forbid I mess up on that 4.5. I don't want to use an answer that I found in case I mess up. So I want to always use the numbers that were already given to me. Charlie, question? We definitely could have solved for h first. They're independent of each other, so I just chose c first, but you could have done h first. So now I'm gonna do sine of 45 over 3.7 again, and now that's gonna be equal to sine of 75 over h. Sine 45 over 3.7 equals sine 75 over h. And now I'm gonna go zoom in and cross multiply and solve that. So h times sine of 45 equals 3.7 sine of 75. And then I'm gonna divide by sine 45. Again, I'm gonna just go throw that in the calculator. 3.7 sine 75 divide by sine 45. And I get 5.1. Okay. So we're gonna do 2 more problems just like that. Is everybody doing okay so far? This isn't too crazy yet, right? This is pretty good. It's gonna be a pretty easy day. Now, the next 2 problems, I need us to draw the triangle, so I'll kind of keep walking you through the next one. So I'm gonna draw this triangle. It doesn't matter how you draw it, as long as it's a triangle. Come on, Notability, help me out. There you go. C, H, S, and I don't care how you label it. Just make sure whatever you label it, the right things go to it. So under angle C, I need to make sure I call that 40. Angle H is gonna be 30, and then little h is gonna be 10.8. What I might also take time to do right now is label little c, little h, and little s. So little c is across from big C, little h is across from big H, and then little s is across from big S. Any questions yet? What did we do on the first thing on the last problem? What was the very first thing I found? The angle. Let's find that missing angle. So you're welcome to just plug it into your calculator, but basically all I'm doing is 40 plus 30 plus something gives me 180. And those 2 together give me 70. And so that means my missing angle is going to be 110. I know my picture isn't to scale, but as long as I label it, that's all that matters. S is going to be 110. All right, now I'm going to solve for little s or little c. I don't care. Can somebody write an equation for me to solve for either one of those? Using my law of sines. Maggie?
Sine 30 over 10.8
Awesome,
equals sine 40 over.
perfect. That was exactly right, Maggie. 30, sine 30 over 10.8 equals sine of 40 over little c. Cross multiply and solve. Ten point eight times sine of 40 divided by sine of 30. And I get 13 point. Am I moving too fast or are we doing okay? Okay, can someone write my equation to help me find little s? Yeah, Ryan?
Sine 30 over 10 over 8 equals sine 110 over s.
Very good. Sine of 30 over 10.8, and then that's equal to sine of 110 over little s. I will tell you in a second, when I multiply, my s and my sine are gonna get confusing, so I may use the variable x just so I don't get confused. I'll kind of show you what I mean. So when I cross multiply, I'm gonna get s sine 30 equals 10.8 sine 110. Every so often I grade something of your guys's and your handwriting is what ruins it for you. So don't be afraid to make that an X. Sometimes my S's look like 5s or it looks like it blends into that sign. So if it's easier to make it just an X instead of an S, that's okay with me. Either way, I'm gonna divide by sine of 30 on both sides. And I'm gonna get X or S, I don't care what you call it, equals 10.8 times sine 110 divided by sine 30. And I'm gonna put that in my calculator. Make sure you're trying to plug these in with me, because if you don't, you may forget a parentheses or you may not do something right based on your calculator. And it would be a bummer, because these are pretty easy, right? It'd be a bummer to miss points on something like this. That's pretty easy. Just plug and chug. I get 20.3 on this one. All right. And the directions say solve the triangle. That means find every single side, find every single angle. I've done that in both of these. Do you think you can try the next one without me? Good, all right, draw your picture, set it up. I'll join you in a second. The first thing I found was my angle. So my angle S is up on the board. I'm gonna use that to plug into sine and cosine. I'm gonna give you a minute because I want you to help me write my equations. All right. Who can help me find one of my missing sides? Who's got my equation?
sin 79 over 19.1,
Mhm,
equals sin 53 over c.
perfect. 53 and C go together, so we did sine of 53 over C, and then now we cross multiply and solve. And what I'm about to plug in my calculator is going to be 19.1 sine of 53 divided by sine of 79. And I get 15.5. Does that look good to you guys? All right, somebody else help me find little h.
Sine 79 over 18.1 equals sine of 8.
Perfect. Now you then said sine 48 over little h, good. Multiply. Cross. Divide by sine 79. So we're gonna plug 19.1 times sine of 48 divided by sine of 79. And I got 14.5. Sound good to you guys? Awesome. Alright. If you flip your paper over, we're going to skip all of the next page. This is a special case. Called the ambiguous case. We're gonna skip that for now. This is the case where I give you an angle and two sides versus two angles in the side. So we'll talk about that next time. I want to do word problems number 3 and number 4, and then spend the rest of the class time reviewing. You guys doing okay? Okay. I am going to remind myself what my law of sines is at the top of this page. You may not need it, but I'm going to remind myself just in case. I've got sine of big A over little a equals sine of big B over little b equals sine of big C over little c. And as we've learned, those A, B's, and C's can be labeled any letter. They just have to like go together. So the big letter goes with the little letter, the exact same ones. These two problems use law of sine in order to find one side. And then we're gonna use a normal right triangle and normal sine after that. So sometimes when we do harder stuff, we forget how to do like the easy stuff that we know how to do. So let's kind of look at this. Let's do our law of sines first, and then I'll kind of break down what happens next. It says observers 2.32 miles apart see a hot air balloon directly between them, but at the angle of elevation shown in the picture below. So the first person sees the hot air balloon at a angle of elevation of 28, and the other one sees it at an angle of elevation of 37, and the distance between them is 2.32 miles. And it says find the altitude of the balloon. So what we're actually trying to find, and we're not going to do it yet, is going to be this distance right here. The direct distance, like how far from the ground is the hot air balloon. What I want to do first is I want to kind of think about this triangle by itself. I want to think about my angle of elevation of 28, 37, this distance of 2.32. We'll call this one a hot air balloon up there. I don't care which other side you find, but you need to find one of the other sides, either AH or HB. In order for us to find the altitude. Before I do that though, I need to find something else first. What's the first thing I should do here? Yeah, Maggie. Find that angle at the top. Good. So just like we've done on the other ones, we know that all the angles add up to 180. So 28 plus 37 plus something equals 180. 28 plus 37 is going to be 65. So 180 minus 65 is going to be 115. That angle up there is 115. Okay. And now I don't care if you find a little a or little b, but we have to find one or the other. Does anyone care one way or the other? Nope. Okay. We'll just find, I don't know, little a. We'll find little a. So if I wanna find little a, what would be my equation that I set up? It's my law of sines that I'm gonna set up. To find little a.
Sin 115. Sin 115 over 2.32,
Good?
equals sin, A,
Yeah, what is angle
oh,
A?
sin 28.
Good, good, over.
A.
Good. Good, good, good. All right, so we figured it out. We did sine of 115 over 2.32 because those go together. And then if we wanted to find little a, we did sine of 28 over little a. Could you have also done sine of 37 over little b? Absolutely, it doesn't matter, but I want us all kind of on the same page, finding the same numbers. So go ahead, cross multiply and solve. I get a sine 115 equals 2.32 sine of 28. Divide by sine 115 on both sides. And when I put 2.32 times sine of 28 divided by sine of 115 in my calculator, I get 1.2. Which kind of sounds like an absurd number, but I need you to remember that the number given to us already was 2 point something. So we're doing things in terms of miles, so it's gonna be kind of these weird, like, smaller decimals than we might think should happen. Okay. Going back to the original picture, we just found this side right here, 1.2. So I want to consider just the triangle over here, just this red triangle. I'm essentially going to take that out and draw that over here. I know I've got my right angle. I know my hypotenuse is at 1.2, and I know my angle of elevation is 37. Since I just did part of that triangle, I don't really know how long this distance is here, but I don't really care. What I do care about is finding my altitude, my vertical distance. So I'm going to throw an X on that side. So I'm going to throw an X on that side. Now I need you to go back to the very basics and just remember SOHCAHTOA. I'm going to do what trig function here? Sine, cosine, tangent. Let's try again. Oh yeah, Megan.
Fine.
Sine. Sine because we have opposite and we have hypotenuse, right? So just like Megan said, we're gonna do sine of 37 is gonna equal X over 1.2. And then just like we spent time doing like back in geometry and honestly earlier this chapter, we easy step, multiply by that 1.2 from both sides, and we'll plug 1.2 sine of 37 into the calculator to figure out what X is. And I get 0.7. Which honestly, the problem actually told us that. That's what this approximately 0.7 was, and so it's nice to kind of confirm that. So the new thing we learned today was law of sines. So we started this problem with the law of sines, and then we finished it with the normal SOHCAHTOA problem. The problem right underneath that is the exact same, so that's the last problem that we're gonna do today, is one more word problem just like this. You guys want me to keep walking you through it, or should I be quiet for a minute and see what you can do without me? Be quiet?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be quiet. Oh wait, team time out before I'm quiet. Notice that angle 38 is this angle up here. It's not the angle on the inside. If that angle on top is 38, what's the gray angle underneath? 90 minus 38. So that angle is going to be 52. Similar on the other side, the top angle is 53, so we want to do 90 minus 53 to find the inside angle. Okay, now I'll actually be quiet. You guys wanna check your work so far? I've got my big angle C up on the board. I got that to be 91. And then I use law of sine to find little a. If you found little b, don't panic, don't erase everything, just hold tight because we should still get the same answer for H, even if you found B and I found A. Once I found little a, I now take that like left side of, or that right side of the triangle, just kind of like I did earlier on the last problem, and I redrew it in that red. I knew that my angle at the bottom was 37, that's still my angle of elevation, and I know that the hypotenuse, the longest leg is 19.7. So now all I gotta do is do my normal sine, cosine, tangent, or whatever in order to solve. What distance am I trying to find again? What should I label X? Is it my O or my A? My O, right? My altitude, the distance, or I guess they call it little h. You can call it whatever you want. Just like we did before, we're gonna do sine of 37 equals X over 19.7 multiplied by 19.7 from both sides. And then I'm gonna physically plug 19.7 times sine of 37 into my calculator. And I get 11.9. Distance. All right, how'd you guys do with that? Okay, good. Okay, today was a pretty easy lesson, right? Okay, what I want to do now is I want to put this aside. I want to talk about stuff for the upcoming test and pass back any quizzes and any other papers that I have from you. But I want you to maybe get your study guides out. So I want to go over a few things first. Let me turn this guy off.